Give me your proof these are gang members.
I don't have to offer that proof. And actually,
why not?
Are you good with 8 to 10 million illegal immigrants coming in over 4 years?
Quit changing the subject.
Do you really believe that some federal judge here in Washington, D.C. has the authority to tell the executive to turn a military aircraft?
Yes.
We haven't covered anything on breaking points in a while here, but they do pretty good coverage. Crystal does, at least, not Sager so much, but we do have some clips here of her debating Sager, her co-host, on the 1798 law that Trump has invoked to do racism, essentially, and the justifications behind it that conservatives may have. So make sure and leave us a like, as I always say. Really helps the channel grow, helps the video get out there more than anything else, and it's completely free. And let's jump right into the debate.
Stephen Miller and Kirsten Noem, they were apparently the ones that were, involved most closely in the execution of all of this. They debated with lawyers like, should we go along with this court order or not? And basically they decided not. Now they claimed, it was already in over international waters, so it's out of our hands now. Of course, this is like preposterous and
why is
nonsense.
Wait, why?
Well, because
do you think?
But here's the thing,
first of all, read the quote in front of you. However, that's accomplished, whether they're planning a turnaround or not being the operative word. Second,
however it's accomplished.
The plane took off from Texas, which immediately put it over international waters within like 10 minutes. That was 6:35 p.m. The flight landed in El Salvador at 8:35 p.m., making it clear that actually it was over international territory and not over the waters of the United States. Now, do you really believe that some federal judge here in Washington, D.C. has the authority to tell the executive to turn a military aircraft around? You believe, okay, well, then we'll test that at the Supreme Court. We will test that theory.
Yes, literally, so many times, yes. And you don't, like Crystal, you don't have to hesitate to answer that question. Why does the judiciary exist if not to provide checks and balances to the executive by way of determining if the actions the executive takes are constitutional? The president cannot just do whatever he wants. The president is not a king. And it really pains me how obvious Trump is making it that the public education system fails in teaching civics, and that most people, the average person, has no idea how the government works, has no idea what branch of government has what powers or anything, because people literally think like, well, he's the president, he can do whatever he wants, when it's like, no, he can't. But also the idea that the president can just do whatever he wants as long as it's over international waters and now it's okay. Insane. Defying judges' orders, point blank period, should be impeachable. The operative word in this is not or not, it's however it's accomplished, meaning turn it around mid-flight or land and then come back. That's what the or not means. Trump did neither. And now he's hoping that his conservative handpicked Supreme Court will give him a win as he defies yet another federal judge's ruling. This marks what? 4 or 5 now that he's blatantly ignored? At what point do we say, hey, you're overstepping the power of the executive, impeach? It's preposterous, it's dictatorial, and it's also a gross violation of the 14th Amendment, among others.
Here's what you're defending. Hundreds of people who we don't know who they are disappeared into a foreign prison known for torture where no lawyers or journalists could possibly go and find out who they are and whether the government story adds up, with zero due process. That's what you're defending.
What I'm
is that Trump can summarily say, these people, they're gone. I'm putting them in this prison in a foreign country indefinitely at my discretion, and you don't get to say anything about it. That's what happened here. So I just don't see how you can... I
didn't say you can't say anything about it.
Listen, I think it should be
easily challenged to the United States Supreme Court. And I think that within the context of clearly the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act, from what I've been able to review, he seems well within his rights to be able to do this from a State Department foreign terrorist organization. That's not... Listen, you're arguing semantics. I'm talking...
No, I'm arguing the law. Are we at war right now?
I mean,
this has been invoked 3 times.
As in, you look in the past.
War of 1812, World War I, World War II. Those are the 3.
Another very important thing to stress here. The last time we invoked this exact law, we did this exact thing that Trump is doing to Japanese Americans. We placed them in camps, we disappeared them, we deported them without cause, and we ended up years later admitting our wrongdoing and paying out reparations to the tune of millions of dollars to them. Only for Trump to now want to repeat these injustices using the same law to justify it, probably because he's never picked up a history book in his life, but it's a really scary precedent. And there's no standing for the invocation of this law, like there might have been with the others, where you could at least say, oh, World War II, oh, World War I, right? as Crystal mentioned, this is a wartime statute. It was created during war. 4 times of war. Trump is trying to circumvent this by claiming a southern border invasion, despite declining numbers since even when Biden was in office to lower than when he was in office, and the numbers right now being the lowest since the 1960s. But yeah, there's an invasion or something, right? And it's all just predicated on nonsense in an attempt to get legal justification to racially or ethnically target immigrants. It's that simple.
Trump literally promised to do this on the campaign trail. So this was one of the most telegraphed actions in like modern history.
Are you good with it? Are you good with it?
I mean, Crystal,
Random people,
are you good with 8 to 10 million illegal immigrants coming in over 4 years?
Quit changing the subject. Yes, I am. You know that I'm fine.
Yeah,
with
okay, so then we should.
Are you good? Quit changing the subject.
That's not. No,
are you
that's an important part of the story.
Are you comfortable with random people being snatched up?
I don't think that they're random. I think they're illegal immigrants.
Okay, give me your proof.
What of what? That they entered the country illegally?
No, give me your proof these are gang members.
I don't have to offer that proof. And actually,
why not?
Even the government doesn't necessarily have to do that either for deportation purposes.
Are you good with that?
With what?
With being able to snatch up random people.
But they're not random. They're here illegally.
You know
they're
that?
not citizens. They are.
So you're fine with
They have criminally entered our country.
You think that an appropriate punishment for people who are fleeing gang violence and coming here seeking a better life.
According to you,
do you think that an appropriate punishment is to be disappeared into a foreign jail cell to be tortured indefinitely and subjected to slave labor?
What I think is that their responsibility and safety is the problem of the Venezuelan government. And
there's so much wrong with this from pretty much all perspectives. Let's start with the most popular, right? They're criminals, that argument. Let's say an immigrant did commit a crime here. Wouldn't you want to assure that they were tried in court and held accountable for a multitude of reasons? Why would we want to just deport them back to a country where they may never be held accountable, may never get a day in court, where they can then just do more crimes to more people, or possibly then even make their way back here to do more crimes here? It's a self-defeating argument. Second, if they're not criminals, which they often aren't, I don't think there's any moral or ethical standing for stating an appropriate response to someone fleeing gang violence, fleeing even just poverty, right? It doesn't even have to be like physical threat, is to deport them back into poverty, deport them back into gang violence, whatever it may be, especially when we've shown historically, not only can we absorb them, but we benefit from absorbing immigrants. And in this example, of course, they're non-immigrants, but now let's say like the reality of like, who knows, maybe they're criminals, maybe they're not. We don't know yet. Maybe they committed a crime. Maybe they're suspected of a crime, maybe whatever. Why are we deporting them on a whim? Why do they not get due process? Why is proving illegality not important? Sager, as I don't know, Middle Eastern facing man at least, is someone ICE could easily mistake as an immigrant and deport, stating confidently here that, hey, well, I should be able to deport someone like me without giving any reason. The brainwashing is what's insane to me, right? But I did think that the statement would make a good use of our time to highlight the true lack of morality in MAGA politics, where most of it just boils down to racism or bigotry of one kind or the other.